How would you like to become disease-proof? Is that even possible, to become disease-proof? And what would that mean? No more colds and flus? No more arthritis and diabetes and heart disease and cancer? Does this mean that I don't have to save a whole bunch of money when I retire to pay for medical bills, retirement homes? What are the implications to that statement, to that question? Would you like to become disease-proof? How about your family? Would you like to disease-proof your child, disease-proof your family, your wife, all your children, all your relatives, your parents, your siblings? Wouldn't that be exciting? Is it possible? Well, Dr. Joel Fuhrman wrote a book, Disease-Proof Your Child, claiming how important it was for little children ages 0 to 10 to eat organic food because their cells are opening and closing all the time and are more vulnerable to environmental toxins. Obviously, we should be eating organic food. Everyone should be eating organic food. No pesticides and chemicals involved anywhere. But for children especially, we can really do wonders for children by laying down a good foundation. But how about the rest of us? Is it possible to become disease-proof where you don't catch colds or flus or have headaches or have down days? Most people have no idea that health is normal. We're not supposed to be sick. That all of these illnesses I've been mentioning are just part of our feedback system warning us that we're not satisfying our needs, and it's really that simple. So we can, in essence, be disease-proof if we can satisfy all of our needs. One of our needs is the environment. Now, there we have limited control over our environment, don't we? No man is an island. The individual cannot escape the collective. The environment's our external environment. If it's polluted, we're going to be polluted also. But more importantly, it's the way we interact with our environment that really determines whether or not we can be disease-proof. If we all got our act together, the environment wouldn't be an issue, but now it is an issue. So we are susceptible to warning signs coming from a bad environment. But everything else I've mentioned, folks, colds and flus and heart disease and cancer, these are within our control. You know, I haven't had a cold or a flu in over 30 years since I started making these type of changes in my life. Quit eating animals 32 years ago. I've been eating a mostly raw food diet, 98% raw vegan for the last 28 plus years, 28 and a half years. Haven't had a down day once. Not one headache, not one cold, not one flu, not one sniffle. Nothing. And here I am, 64 years old. I feel better now than I ever had in my life. I feel like I'm just as quick and fast. I know I'm not, but that's how I feel. I bounce out of bed with the vigor of a child when I wake up. Have energy all throughout the day. Don't need much sleep, and if I don't get much, I still function quite well. What does that mean? What does the quality of one's life mean to you? Now, how about heart disease or cancer or diabetes or arthritis? Poor vision, poor hearing. Am I going to lose those as I get older and have other symptoms? Am I going to lose my hearing, my vision? Well, my vision is better now at the age of 64 than it was when I was 32. Blue eyes I had as a child that turned hazel as an adult went back to blue when I went 3 months on nothing but juices. Got rid of a 20-pound cesspool in me. So there's a lot we can do to become disease-proof. We can clean out our bathrooms. That's the secret right there, my friends, to becoming disease-proof. We've got 2 main bathrooms in our body. If we can keep those clean, we can avoid most of our dis-ease symptoms, because that's what most of our diseases are coming from. Things inside of us that don't belong there. It's really that simple. That's what my whole YouTube channel is all about. I want everyone to become disease-proof. I want your family to become disease-proof. You should want your family to become disease-proof, especially your significant other. What kind of quality of life are you going to have when the person that you care the most about is feeling horrible? It behooves all of us to be the best that we can be, especially for one another. And again, think of the implications. How much money have you set aside? If you're my age, you've already looked at your retirement. How much do I need to retire? How much have you set aside for medical bills? How about nursing homes? You plan on spending the last decade of your life in a nursing home? How about your parents? Are you doing that now for your parents? Are they in a nursing home? Isn't there something we can do about this? Of course there is. And why doesn't everyone know about it? Because it's the ultimate tool of control. Our ill health is the reason why the planet works the way it does. And the status quo promotes the status quo. The status quo guarantees that things aren't going to change because it wants to stay the same. That's why I've said many times that true health care is self-care. We have to realize the role that we play in keeping these bathrooms clean. 2 main bathrooms is all we have to do to realize how most of our disease symptoms occur. We eat, we eliminate, there's 1 bathroom. Our cells eat, they eliminate, there's the other bathroom. All we have to do is keep those bathrooms clean, because most of our disease symptoms come when those bathrooms seep back into the body, either from the intestines or from our lymph system. And for most people who are getting sick all the time, every one of your cells are swimming in filthy waste matter. There's 2 main fluids in our body that feeds and cleans our cells. Made up a lot of water, of course, but those 2 main fluids that cleans, that's the blood, and our feeds, that's the blood, and then cleans, that's the lymph system, our cells. Most disease is when those bathrooms back up. And this is the piece of the puzzle that our so-called experts in both nutrition and medicine don't understand. 3 cycles of food, consumption, absorption, elimination. Our nutritionists don't study the elimination phase. They don't realize how long it's taken for foods to go through. Doctors, we got a bunch of cells, those 2 fluids. They don't understand how the other fluid, the lymph system, is backing up. Sure, technically they can describe the process, but they don't understand what happens when that system doesn't get cleaned. They also just don't understand that disease is a bodily process. It shouldn't be interfered with, it should be understood, and the cause should be removed. So there's a simple way to become disease-proof. But first you have to understand the cause of disease. I've done a video, Healing Secrets Revealed. I put a link down below in all my videos to that video. It explains there are 2 short-term self-limited diseases and 4 long-term stages of disease. And that's when our bathrooms are backing up into our tissues. Disease is a bodily process. How do you become disease-proof? The first thing you have to do is you have to understand what causes disease. It's when we don't interact with our environment the right way. And we're putting the wrong things in us. And we're damaging our body. And we're not getting rid of the things we need to get rid of. So there's things inside of us that don't belong there. And of course there's the deficiency side of this equation also. Which is why I love a solid food vacation on juices. Because it not only cleans both those bathrooms up, but addresses that deficiency issue that we have for so many reasons. When you put the wrong foods in, it gunks up everything. Our small intestines, the surface area is not like our colon, the large intestines that's flat like the surface area of my hand. Small intestines are like my fingers. Imagine putting your hand in some paint or some mud and bringing it back up, and now your fingers are coated. Well, when you take a solid food vacation on juices, you're going to clean your fingers and your villi in your small intestines, which can cover the surface area of 1 to 2 tennis courts. Think about that. It's a big surface area. So when you drink nothing but juices, you're going to be cleaning this whole pipe system out. The small intestines, the large intestines. Then, by way of retrograde flow, we're going to change the ionic pressure in our colon. And now the colon is going to be used for something it should be used more often for, if ever needed. And it should never be needed, actually. And that's called a fontanel, an alternative channel of elimination. That's how the disease process works. When the other bathroom isn't filtering the waste matter from our cells out the body, it backs up, and then the body goes through a process of dealing with that waste matter. That's all it is, folks. It's not complicated. The body uses alternative organs for elimination. Remember, if our lymph system isn't getting cleaned, it's not getting filtered because we're damaging the kidneys, and it backs up, where can it back up to? Only one place. It goes back into the tissues it came from. And of course, in the body's wisdom, it knows to go for organs that can exit out the body. And again, those are called alternative channels of elimination. The skin, the nose, the sinuses, the lungs, pneumonia, colds and flus, all types of skin conditions, right? Rashes, hives, measles, smallpox. Waste matter coming out the body. Waste matter coming out the nose. Alternative channel of elimination, a fontanel. So one of the great things that happens on a solid food vacation on juices is we change that ionic pressure in our colon. And now it can more aggressively pull the other crap from the other bathroom and other tissues out the body, and out it goes. In the same way, the body's going to say, I've got too much waste matter in my lymph system, let's go out the nose and sinuses and have a cold and flus, or into the lungs, you have pneumonia, or out the skin, you got all sorts of skin conditions. Instead of going there, let's go a place that can really exit the body, into the colon. So that's one of the main benefits of a solid food vacation on juices. We're going to clean both those bathrooms out. So how do you become disease-proof? How do you get your family to become disease-proof? Well, the first thing they have to understand is the cause of disease. And if they're lucky, they've got a lot of dis-ease symptoms, so when they take a solid food vacation on juices and they go the distance, they'll have an aha moment. Because most, if not every one of those symptoms are going to go away. And if they don't, it's because we have another group of needs. Remember, the solid food vacation mainly addresses the mistakes relative to food. Food is one of 12 essential needs. We still have to satisfy all those other needs. So if you change your diet and you're not seeing improvement, well, are you sleeping? Are you getting some sunshine? Are you getting fresh air? How about your attitude, your thoughts? Are they positive? There are other factors we have to consider. And when we don't satisfy any of those other factors, that creates stress, and that creates dis-ease. And of course, if you're doing all of that and you still are not getting rid of your problems, then that means you've got another group of needs. That's the result of us being damaged, the environment being damaged, even society being damaged. We have way too much stress in our life that shouldn't even exist. The amount of stress that we have now is just insane. On a daily basis, if you live in a big city like I do, every time I turn around, someone's turned their alarm off, the horn is honking. It's noise pollution to the nth degree. It's very stressful. So how do you deal with that? The way I deal with it is I escape out here in nature. That's why I come out here with my camera and my video. In the middle of my bike ride, I'll set up my camera and do a video. That's very stress relieving also. Knowing that I'm giving back to the community, knowing that I'm helping people and educate them and share the information that I've learned. So having a purpose in life is very important to add onto your list of what you need to do on a daily basis to become disease-proof. If you want to really be happy in life, you got to learn how to serve others. You got to find the knowledge that we're missing as a species. Prove it to yourself. Accept the mission. I'm going to prove that a solid food vacation is going to clean up my bathrooms because I'm going to be able to see it and the symptoms will go away. And then I'm going to correct those 5 mistakes that John talks about all the time, relative to 5 things we mastered and then made bad applications to our food. The chemical revolution, the industrial revolution, processed foods and artificial fertilizers, pesticides, conventional produce. The agricultural revolution, started eating plants we're not biologically adapted to eat. Animals, shouldn't be eating animals, we're not designed to eat animals. And the big mistake that set it all off is the cooking. So, idea of what you're missing. Take a solid food vacation on juices if you haven't done so yet, so you can see what you're missing and then be more motivated to correct those 5 mistakes on a permanent basis. Until you see what you're missing, you're not going to think cooking's a mistake, or eating animals is a mistake, or eating bread is a mistake. You should have enough sense to know Twinkies are a mistake, and spraying poison and growing food on infertile soil is not a good thing to do. And my God, when we cook, look what it does. I've mentioned over and over and over the evils that come from cooking our food. What does it do? Cooking's one big experiment, folks. A chemical experiment. All these new substances are created when we alter our food with heat, cooking it. We create HCAs. We create AGEs. That's what happens when we apply heat to animals and plants. Heterocyclic amines, HCAs. Advanced glycation end products, AGEs. People say, oh, John, eating fruit's bad for you. Carbohydrates are extremely low in AGEs. And what happens when you heat food? The carbohydrate's going to stick to the protein. That's what it is. Luckily, if we're healthy, we have macrophages that have special receptor sites for these AGEs. They call them RAGEs, rages, to deal with that rage and inflammation we have. Because AGEs, excessively, when we start cooking our food, don't belong inside of us. Like the HCA is one of the best reasons not to eat animals. And I've talked about all the other reasons why we shouldn't cook our food. It alters the food on every level, and then it alters us. It's a hard pill for us to swallow, isn't it? Think about it. How do you become disease-proof? Just stop cooking your food. Is it that simple? I wish it was. Cooking's only one of 5 mistakes. You probably won't be making those other mistakes if you're not cooking, but there's still a chance you might not be able to afford organic food or find the right organic food grown on fertile soil. And of course, you got all those other needs besides the food. There's other ways to not satisfy your needs. And then the fact that we could be living someplace that doesn't allow us to get sunshine and exercise and fresh air, and even have the food available that we need to eat in season because we're not living where we're supposed to. It's hard to become disease-proof in a world that's no longer ideal, because our species-specific diet, as I said countless times over and over, is only our ideal diet in an ideal world, and we don't live there anymore. So we're going to have to modify that, possibly, some of us, just like we have to modify a solid food vacation on water to deal with living in a less than ideal world. That's where the juices come into play. That's where the supplements come into play. And people will ignorantly argue that a raw food diet can't be ideal if you have to supplement it. It's not ideal, it's just our species-specific diet. It's no longer ideal because the world's no longer ideal. And we have to be aware of that. So in order to become disease-proof, you have to understand how you have become individually damaged, how the environment has become damaged where you're at. And many of you already know you're living too far up north where you're not getting enough sunshine. You can't get vitamin D adequately. That's why the further you go from the equator, you end up eating more animals. You get less sunshine. Also, an interesting statistic is the more autoimmune diseases go up the further you go from the equator, because you're consuming more animals, especially dairy, and you're getting less sunshine. So those are important pieces to the puzzle that you can put together and realize we shouldn't be living way up there. We can't even eat the food we need to eat to become disease-proof. So what's it going to take to disease-proof your life? What's it going to take to disease-proof your child? What's it going to take to disease-proof your entire family? First step, you got to see what you're missing. You got to test an idea whose time has come, because this is what will allow you to see what you're missing. Within 1 week, folks, that's all it takes. You have a light bulb moment. Nothing's going in, but you have stuff coming out. The average woman loses 7 pounds in 1 week. The average man, 10 pounds. And if you're underweight, you'll gain weight on the same program that you're losing weight on initially. Because even those who are underweight, many times, their small intestines are all plugged up. That's why they can't absorb their nutrients, possibly. Not the only reason, but I've coached too many people who are underweight that actually gained weight once they got into this solid food vacation on juices where they cleaned themselves up and were able to absorb the nutrients. So to become disease-proof, you have to realize most disease is due to toxicity, deficiency, things inside of us that don't belong there, things that we need that aren't there. And the most important thing we need that's not there are biophotons. So if you really want to become disease-proof, bump up your biophoton levels. Dr. Fritz Albert Popper coined that word, biophoton, back in 1976. Started analyzing it in 74 with an instrument. Said that all living systems, all plants, animals, and fungi store these biophotons in their cells, in the nucleus of their cells, and they emit this so it can communicate to everything. And the more they have, the healthier they are. There it is. To become disease-proof, bump up your biophotons. Do your best with the environment you got, the society you got. You can't escape Plato's cave entirely. We can find the knowledge we need. We can apply it. But as long as the vast majority of our friends and family and the rest of the world is down in Plato's cave, starting their journey off in life with false knowledge that allows them to make the same mistakes we've been making for 3,000 generations and ending up with the same dark ages we've had ever since the very first big mistake we made of cooking our food. One simple solution can solve so many problems. One simple solution, folks, to become disease-proof. Stop cooking your food, number one. That's what a solid food vacation on juices will allow you to do. Because you're going to correct all 5 of those mistakes on a temporary basis. Most of us aren't willing to do that. And if that's how you want to start your journey, or you prefer to do it that way, great, do it. Keep it in mind, whichever one you do, you can only go as fast as your body will allow you. So if your adrenals are fatigued, if they're compromised, you might have trouble consuming your ideal food or your species-specific diet until you heal that organ. Just like it may be difficult to do a solid food vacation on juices by using fruit. You have to stick with vegetables in the beginning. It can still be done. It won't cause you any problems. So, you know your body better than anyone else. Pay attention to it. Remember, we got these 2 bathrooms. We got to do this periodically. That's why I emphasize over and over in my videos why it's so important to do this once at least and go the distance so we can really have the aha moment. Light bulb moment in 1 week, aha moment within several months. Once we flush out our bathrooms and see this major transformation we go through. Once that happens, then we'll be more motivated to consider whether or not we want to correct all 5 of those mistakes. And all of us are going to vary as far as how well we're going to do. It's not easy to break away from something we've been doing for decades. Especially considering the fact that we crave what we're made out of. As long as you're made out of hamburgers and beer, or pizza and beer, you're going to crave hamburgers and pizza and beer. But once you eat the right foods, you're going to be craving those foods instead. It just takes a while to get there. And I'm telling you, it's well worth it. Because the ultimate goal, the ultimate results, would be basically to become as disease-proof as one can be living in the sick world we have right now. But if we made these changes, if we made it to the tipping point and things started changing 7 generations down the road, we'd be raising a whole different generation of people who were basically disease-proof. That's the day, my friends, I'm looking forward to, because I know we're in for a treat.